All right, 2005 2.3 liter Mazda Tribute and or Ford Escape. Going to attempt the intake manifold in the front here to get to the PCV valve. So we'll start with some simple stuff over here. Get this out of the way. You can take care of 8mm or 5/16. Get this clamp off here, and let's just move this out of the way and disconnect it from the throttle body first, and start maybe disconnect some connectors here as well. Just kind of push down and release like so. So let's try and get some of these easy things out of the way first. To take this hose off, we really just simply need to push this over to the side. This little green notch, and it will release it, and you can pull it up. Disconnect the throttle body connector here. Again, pushing. This disconnected. We're taking the fuel rail off, two 10mm bolts there and there. I'm going to give this a light cleaning, blow it with some air first. Three 8mm bolts. This kind of just snaps onto place on here. Got the bracket loose. I like to get this cable out of the way. That's what I'm doing.
We'll do a fifth filter for me real quick.
Should just be able to push down on this red item and get this out. spacers for the fuel injection rail. Get the fuel rail out of the way. You can see some of the bolts we need to get out, at least a couple right there. We'll take those off while we're here and while it's easy. So we got that bolt out there, getting that bolt out, and also this long bolt over here on the end. If you have a 1/4-inch ratchet set up, you can actually get underneath that little black bar there, and you can get to them that way with an extension 1/4-inch ratchet. Just not using it right now, and we're disconnecting what we can. Actually, need this wiring harness out of there, so we'll follow the wires down there and we'll disconnect all the connectors we can. Disconnect those 2 hoses right there from the intake manifold. Possibly, no need to, just the one on the right. Just disconnect this one. That off there. Got that off. All right, and we'll get underneath here so we can disconnect some things underneath. All right, we've removed most of the shield here, just 10mm bolts. Hold it in place up here, just 10mm bolts. Also, there's one of these on each side, on the back side. Back there you'll find this with the little Phillips screw. So you can unscrew this hopefully and get it out, and I actually pulled the driver's side all the way off. As you can see, pulled it all the way off. Now we have some access in here. I did pull one 10mm bolt out of that hole right there. I do believe we need to pull the dipstick tube out as well. Follow that up. There's a bracket up there. Bracket up there actually looks like a from here it looks like a Torx bit. So we'll get you the information on that and get that off. And maybe we'll just come up with the intake manifold. So, we're underneath here looking. Hopefully you saw that. There's a bolt up there as well. They want you to take off the throttle body as well. I'm not sure what good that's going to do, so we're just going to leave that alone. Disconnect the wiring in there. Oily. Look at that oil there. So there's an 8mm bolt here. Taking it out. Get this cover off. I think it's kind of blocking my view. a little bit. Second bolt. Get that second bolt off too. Hopefully you can see that bolt better now, that 10mm bolt. We need to get that bolt as well. Here's my setup with my 3/8 ratchet, because actually my 1/4" ratchet is stripped. The gears are stripped, so just gonna work it off with my 3/8 ratchet and extension. That's my setup right there. Let's get that bolt out. So we've disconnected the oil pressure switch right here. Looks like maybe it's even leaking. And then a connector up here as well. And just pushing on that tab and pulling it off. Get that bolt out. All right, we got one more bolt, I think. So next we'll be tackling that 10mm bolt there. There is actually one 10mm bolt in the middle, and all I can tell you is there's a hole. Right down there, below the vacuum lines, is a hole. You need to get an extension in there to the 10mm bolt that is in that hole. 1/4" ratchet and extensions are really the way to go. There's also one bolt down there. You can barely see that. It's like next to the power steering pump, and yeah, it's down there. Yeah, I did got that easy one. In this crack, again, you probably need extensions and swivels to get to it. The directions don't say anything about taking off the power steering pump, which is over here with probably 3 10mm bolts. You gotta take the belt off, of course, so we're gonna tackle these bolts one at a time from right to left. So right now this is a 6" extension, 1/4", and that is what I'm using to get to this bolt over here. So that's what I'm using. Got my 1/4" ratchet and a regular 10mm stubby socket, and I have gotten it, and I can loosen it up and take it out this way. That's what we'll do for this bolt right here. So I do have the ratchet in there. You can kind of see I actually stacked a couple of extensions together to get this to work, because you have to put one in, I think, and then add the other extension to get it on the bolt. But there's my setup, and I'll show it to you when I get the bolt loosened up, and I'll pull it out. This is my 1/4" setup for bolt in the middle that you can't see through the hole. Got about 6.5 inches here, so if you can make that work, you should be able to get to it. Probably 6.5 to 7.
How come I didn't pull the fuel rail out? I must be goofy.
Yeah, maybe you're goofy. I'll show you what I did to get this set up here when I get it out. So here's my setup. Just over 7 inches. Got some extensions. 10mm, of course, and this is for the bolt next to the power steering. Hopefully you can see the Torx bit up there, torque bolt for the dipstick. Here's what I'm using right here. Got a T30 on a 1/4" ratchet. And that is just enough to get me on there and loosen it. So I've loosened it, and we're just gonna get that out, but very tight fit. The top one is easier to get to and pull the dipstick out. So here's the upper Torx bit for the oil dipstick, and a lot easier to get to. Broke it loose. You take it off, just like that, and hopefully we can just pull the dipstick out. Fairly easy, hopefully. Right down here. Just wait a little bit, and then we'll go down below and try and pull it out. Still, I see I have my assembly in the center hole. Got it loose. It's wiggling. I'm not sure if I'm missing a bolt or what, but we'll see about that. So here's the dipstick. We're just wiggling it. Came out. Does have an O-ring on it. So we can pull this out. Probably up through the top would be easiest. We'll just pull that out of here. Now it's not really wanting to come out. Just have the exhaust manifold bolt, or exhaust manifold. Does have an EGR tube right there. Can't seem to get around that. I think I have one line hooked up down over here as well, but you can see it's separated. There's that center bolt. That is such a pain. Right there. So we're going to take that off so we can get this thing out. I got a 22 millimeter. Still got one more hose to take off down there. Now we have a connector on this side we need to undo. Again, we can just push the tab and undo it. That is undone. Undo that. Then we need to undo this hose right down here, and you can push down on a white clip. You can kind of barely see it, just the right angle, and you push down on it and it should release it. And we're looking down underneath the throttle body. Here's the throttle body. Looking down, you can see we have a wiring connector to undo as well. So let's undo that and see what else might be holding us up from pulling this out. All right, success. Try and go over everything here. These are 2 spots for the oil dipstick, T30 bits, 10mm bolt down here. I might have forgotten about telling you that one. Down here, and there might be wiring harnesses plugged into these device places here. Connector there, right there. Here's a hose that one of the last hoses we slid off. 10mm bolt. There's the bolt hole and the bolt down there. You can see 2 bolts. Holes down there. Bolt hole there and there. Flip it around a little bit. Couple guide pins. And this hose right here. There's the white piece you push. Right there, just push down, that releases it. You can see inside. There's my 10mm wrench that was sitting down in here to get that bolt through the tube. And then 21mm to get that off. I took that hose clamp off from below already. Again, I'm sorry I didn't show that. I actually went through the driver's side hole over here and took that off. You can see it has a clamp on it right there. And so we've gotten to our PCV valve right down there. That hose is mostly collapsed actually too. Right now I'm going to spray a little lubricant on here. I don't really know if it's going to help, but I'm going to give it a try because this clip often breaks. I don't think I got another one in my kit, which I highly recommend when you want to do this. Get a new hose, new PCV valve, and a new clip that holds the PCV valve in place. She's got a crack in it. Doesn't seem to be, it's pretty collapsed though, as you can see from that narrowness.
Weird. Just gained 2 hours.
So you know of a good way to get that black clip off without breaking anything, which I did not get a black clip for some reason.
Right. You probably didn't get the O-ring to take that whole thing off, so we can just put it on the bench or anything either.
A molded O-ring probably for that big black thing?
Oh, that would be broken, all right.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Good.
We did not get a new clip. Our best guess is to try and, there's 2 holes, one on each side, and our best guess is to try and squeeze it and pull it off.
You want to take it out and show them?
Yeah, go ahead and take it out and show them. Got those 2 notches there. And you probably want to squeeze opposite the notches where those 2 bars are, like thusly. Try and squeeze it, and that might open it up because there's 2 little tangs down there that it catches on.
I'd recommend replacement.
And as I have said, yes, I recommend replacing all those pieces. There is actually a O-ring inside there as well, and we've replaced that. A new PCV valve, a new O-ring, new clip, new hose. And it's just kind of snap into place, hopefully. That's the idea. So I think there's a little tab in here. And on the other side is a little tab, little notch that black clip catches. Oh, there's a spider on my camera. It's gone. So I think that your best guess for getting this clip off in one piece is to somehow squeeze here and squeeze the back side and pull it off, or try and get a hook on here and get in there and pry off one of the sides. But we were trying with very little luck to pry here and to pull it off. But here is the new PCV valve clip, and O-ring is installed. We'll put the hose on here next, and we'll drop in the intake manifold. I'm going to plan on putting some kind of lubricant, maybe a little grease on here or on the end of the intake manifold to make it easier to slide on. And I was able to get to this underneath, so we'll see how we can easily attach this, but you should be able to get this from underneath. So we've pulled our old rubber gaskets out, installed our new rubber gaskets. And for this bolt that's most impossible to get to, I've actually installed a little O-ring on it. And I am confident it will all squish down and not be an issue. That's going to hold it in place for me so it doesn't fall. So I'll try and start a couple bolts before I hand start all the bolts you can, and then tighten them down after they've all been started. So that tip helps you out. Here's where the hose is fitting onto, and we can either put a little bit of grease on this, or again on the inside of the hose, help it slide on when we want to get it back on. So putting it back together, we've got our electrical connection on this side done. You can see it all. And of course, do not forget to put that tube in for the EGR right there, 22 millimeter. It's got that hand tight, and we're going to screw it in and tighten it. And we can align a couple bolts, a couple easy ones, and get this started up. Also clean the surface with some brake clean and a rag for mounting. So I did manage to fish the new, not the new bolt, but the bolt back in with a swivel. I got a good tight swivel and a 10 millimeter socket with some paper jammed on it so the bolt stays on. So, but that is definitely a candidate, if I thought about it, is put an O-ring on that one as well to hold that in place. So that's what I do, is probably O-ring that one, and the center one you can't get to, so they're all already in place for you when you mount them. So we've got almost all the bolts started, except for the one below there and the bottom one. We'll get those two started, and I think you're going to be good to go to reverse the rest of the procedure to reinstall it all. And good luck to you on your PCV valve intake manifold replacement job on your Mazda Tribute or your Ford Escape 2.3 liter 4-cylinder engine. So I've been able to reach in there with my needle nose pliers right here and put the hose on underneath. You certainly may, depending on the tools you have, need to attach it while it's dangling loose down here. And of course a little lubricant on there helps it slide on easy. And the last thing we'll do is pull that clip off. The last thing we'll do is pull that red clip off and it'll be attached.